You are listening to a Pod Bros exclusive.
Hey now, everybody. We are live. Brand new episode of Take Aim Outdoor Podcast. Super excited for today's show as always, and excited to have this guy on for the first time, even though we've been talking about it for about 2 years. But welcome, Michael Lee from the Backwoods Live TV. What's up, Michael?
What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Just enjoying a nice cold day in Michigan. I know we were just chatting about some turkey hunting, but that's about it.
Yeah, I heard that. We're kind of rainy down here today, probably about 70, 80 degrees. A little cold front coming through. Ought to clear out and get these turkeys gobbling good.
It's 39 here, so I'm not feeling that 70 and 80.
Nice, very nice.
Yep. So, but I know it's turkey season, but I got a couple turkey shows coming up. So this show is going to come out in a couple of weeks. But ML, I just wanted to talk to you about why guys from the Midwest and kind of compare the Midwest to what you guys got going on in the South as far as deer hunting goes. Because a lot of us guys, as you probably know, we just don't even think about going to the South. But you guys have pretty liberal seasons, longer seasons, and man, you know, some of your guys like Georgia and Louisiana, you guys are pumping out some big deer. So I'd like to talk to you just about that and get your opinion on what you see as a deer hunter, the difference between the Midwest and the hunt in the South, and the strategies behind that.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. I think one advantage, here in the South that we do have is we have a very long season. In Georgia, where I'm from, archery season usually kicks off about middle of September or a little bit later in September, and then you have a muzzleloader season that's a week in October. Then you have, rifle season, if you will, from late October all the way through mid-January for the most part. So we've got a very open season, if you will. I mean, it's basically, 3-4 months almost, and a liberal bag limit, which we can kill 12 deer down here, only 2 of which can be bucks, and one must have an inch long tines, 4 times an inch long on one side. So, there's a little bit of a management plan in there. Personally, I think that's too many deer per hunter. I don't think the herd can really support shooting 12 per person, which I know most people probably don't shoot that many, myself included. Like last year I killed 1, but that's my choice. So, deer numbers are great. We've got some good deer. I will say, you won't consistently see the big deer like you do in the Midwest, states such as Kansas, Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, through that area. But you do have the chance at a really nice buck if you can, put the time in.
Now, Michael, is there a big difference between, obviously, Midwest is known for its agriculture, so what kind of areas are you guys hunting in those southern states that, let's say, produce those big deer, and what's some of the spots and areas that you prefer to hunt near or by because you just believe the opportunity is better?
Well, the crazy thing about down here, a lot of the states, you can have a coastline all the way to mountains in the same state, so you got a very diverse terrain. You got a lot of hardwood areas. Timber is a big thing down here, pine trees. So you got a lot of pine plantations, really thick cover. And then you got a lot of agriculture. You got river bottoms. I would say for the most part, if you want to compare, say, Georgia versus Kansas, for example, the majority of Kansas is wide open. You got a few what we would call creeks out there, they call rivers, that kind of are where the deer hang out. If you find good stands of timber in most of those Midwestern states, you're going to find just a great abundance of whitetails. And, of course, with as much agriculture as they have out west, they really can put on the body weight and when they put on big body weights, they all have a lot of extra to go to antler growth. And they've got great soil out in that area too to have minerals and such. Down here, if you get on like the coastlines, the deer are a lot smaller. You know, if you kill 110, 120 inch deer in those areas, that's a huge deer. But then you go all the way over to kind of the area of the state where I'm at. We've got the Flint River runs through, and there's a lot of agriculture. And with the river, you know, flow, you get a lot of great soil as well, and minerals and stuff like that. And you know, they pump out, you know, 150, 160, all the way up to, you know, 200 inch deer at times, which are pretty impressive for anywhere. They're just not as frequent as, you know, some of the Midwestern states, if you will. The sleeper part of the Georgia is actually around the Atlanta area. They've got a couple of counties up there that are bow hunt only. So you get these kind of what I call them backyard bucks, like up in Ohio is notorious for that. And these rural areas that have basically deer that live outside these neighborhoods that, you know, grow to be 4, 5, 6 years old and mature, and they're taking, you know, some really, really big deer in those areas.
Suburban bucks, we call them.
Yeah,
up
that's
here.
right.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Now, are those seasons something different slightly than yours, or is that a different tag in those urban areas for bow hunting only?
No, it's the season is the same. It'll go from September, but they do extend that season in the bow only counties through the end of January. So they do get a little bit more time to hunt. So I guess that's just the benefit of having that area, which I don't have access to any places like that, which I don't really know why many people in the world want to go to Atlanta for anything. But I guess I'd make an exception if there were some big bucks in the backyard I needed to go check on.
I guess that would, yeah. Anytime there's a 160 running around, it'd be nice to go visit Atlanta.
Just for a little while.
Yep. Now, ML, if you had, let's say, your farm that you guys hunt all the time, can you kind of draw us a picture of what that's like and how you like to hunt it and the stuff you do, you know, whether it's cameras, food plots, or tree stands? What do you guys do to get ready for your season and your farm?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a great piece of property between what we have as family land and what we lease. It's about 1,000 acres, somewhere in that ballpark, which for down here, that's a pretty good chunk. We've got a lot of agriculture. We may have peanut fields one year, may have cotton fields one year. It kind of rotates those things in and out. We've got some pasture land that we have cattle on. We've got a couple creeks that run through the property that are pretty substantial, you know, water flows. So you got a hardwood bottoms that run through some of these creeks. We've got a lot of thick cover. I mean, we've got a lot of pine trees down here, pine plantations that really grow up into some nasty stuff. And the deer really hold in there. You know, I do envy the guys in the Midwest and the Northeast and such that you guys get to go shed hunting. Down here, the idea of shed hunting is if you walk through one of your food plots and find one laying there, because you don't want to walk through the stuff where the deer live down here. It's just too nasty. So that kind of gives you a mental picture of how thick of stuff we're talking about. But we do have a lot of good food plots. That's a big thing that we've started implementing a lot. Is we work with Antler King really close. They great different blends that work very well in our areas. And we have clover stands. Like this time of the year, you know, the deer have grazed down a lot of our winter plots, and the clover is really thriving with these little bit warmer temperatures and a lot of water that we've had in rain. So those make great year-round food sources. And so, you know, we're constantly drawing deer in from surrounding areas just because we've got a great food plot program, and we do some supplemental feeding through troughs with, you know, protein pellets in the off season and the fawning periods and antler growing time. So we'll run those pellets until August, when they kind of start getting to where the velvet's about to come off. And it's done great. I mean, we try to always make it where deer have sanctuary and they've got food and they don't have to go far to get to either one.
Now, is I don't know what made me think of this, Michael, but Georgia's a rifle state, correct?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Now I know you kind of get to, luckily, and we'll get into the TV show Backwoods Life in just a second and stuff, but you luckily get to bounce around the South quite a bit to hunt a couple extra states a year. But is there a certain state besides Georgia and your home farm that you really like to go visit in the South?
I really like Alabama a lot, especially when their rut starts kicking off. It's usually late December, January, into early February. It's fun to hunt over there. The deer, for the most part, they've got some really big deer, but for the most part, they're a little bit smaller, as far as average goes for Georgia and maybe some of the other states. But usually you can see a lot of deer. I mean, it's fun to go over there and hunt a big green field in the afternoon. Sitting in the shooting house, you might see 20 or 30 deer. And a lot of fun just to do that kind of later in the season when all the other states are either closed or winding down.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I mean, just to see that kind of deer numbers is a good time without even attempting to kill anything. That's a riot.
Yeah, and then, they're rutting, so you never know when a buck's going to pop out and what he's going to be. And it's pretty fun time to be in the woods. And they're getting to where, like a lot of the states in the South, there's a lot of hogs over that way. And get a shot at some of those things from time to time. It's just a fun time of the year. It's fun, honestly, to go sit in the shooting house with a rifle, and it's a little less stressful than trying to bow hunt so hard for, November and into December to fill those tags.
Yeah, that is cool. That's kind of unique. Alabama reminds me of like a little bit of Texas, how, their rut seems to always starts in December as well. That's funny.
Yeah, it's kind of fun if you're a hunter and you're able to travel across the country. You can really time the rut on a normal year and really get to hunt several states. So it's pretty fun. I mean, you can start in a little bit north, go Midwest, go to the South, come back across and cover about 4 or 5 states and hit the rut in all of them if you plan it right.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a riot to kind of end in Kansas, when we think the rut's over, or be the last rut for a lot of us guys in the Midwest, around Thanksgiving. And then, like, wait, pump the brakes, I'm headed to Alabama. The rut's going to start again in 2 weeks, or a week and a half or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of years, like, we'll cross paths, I know you and I see each other at ATA a lot, and but I always leave ATA and go to Alabama. So it kind of gives me a break, then get to go back and hunt a little bit.
Now, I know there's a certain area that's pretty much known in Alabama for, your Alabama's deer hunting. Are you hunting in that area, kind of that mid-central to south? Is that right, Michael?
Yeah, it's a stretch they call the Black Belt through Alabama, and it's named that because of the soil. It's really, really black, dark soil, and full of good nutrients, and that really helps the bucks in that area get a little bit bigger than some of the other places in the state. But yeah, we hunt right around some of that area, and like I said, it's a lot of fun. See a lot of good deer, and gives you something to do when everybody else is quitting.
Yeah, that is super cool. I've always heard really good things about that Black Belt area of Alabama, and I figured that's the area you were hunting in. But I know Alabama is a non-resident tag for you, but can you take me through Georgia, what it would take for guys coming from the Midwest to get a non-resident tag, and what you go through to get an Alabama tag?
Man, honestly, the DNRs nowadays, they've made everything so simple. Just to go online and buy a tag for the most part, especially down here. I mean, everything's over the counter. I mean, you can stop at a Walmart or Bass Pro or any kind of sporting outlet for the most part and buy a hunting license, and or hop online, print it out yourself, print your harvest registry, and come on with it, or do it when you get here. But for non-residents in Georgia, I haven't checked lately. I want to say it's around the $300 or so ballpark to come down here and hunt. But with that, you can hunt. It's good for 1 year from the day you buy it. So you can kill 12 deer and 3 turkeys on that one license. So if you look at it at, opportunity there, if you did fill all those tags, that's a pretty good return on investment for as the freezer meat goes.
That's a huge return on investment. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Plus a lot of time to hunt, which is super cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, at the end of the day, you know, if you're a Illinois resident or Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Ohio, Indiana, all through there, I mean, you can't have the same expectations as you do in those states if you're gonna, you know, come down here and hunt. You know, you're usually gonna see a lot of deer, especially if you come, you know, before Thanksgiving, because usually after Thanksgiving things get kind of slow. But if you come down, you know, you might get a shot at a really good deer, you know, 140, 150, 160 inch deer is a fine buck down here, and you know, just can't have the same expectations as you would like in Kansas, for example, in some of those areas where, you know, for 150 seems like they're around a lot of every corner. But it's a lot of fun. You see a lot of deer, have a good time, and the food's pretty dang good down here too.
You guys have good barbecue, that's for sure.
Yeah, we got something right along the way.
I know that I'm always find it so interesting when I watch, and you probably know where it's at, Michael. I don't know exactly what part of the state it's in, where World Tree Farms is, and when I watch Monster Bucks, and you know, Bill or Tyler, you know, they're pumping out a 150 to 160 class buck every year, and I'm watching it, and if you wouldn't know it was Georgia, you're like, my God, those are some great deer. So, is that area known, or obviously, I know that I would assume Bill has put in a ton of effort and time and management into that farm.
Yeah, that part of the state has got it's got a decent amount of agriculture, but it's got a couple of rivers that flow kind of through that area. And you know, in Georgia, for the most part, if you find a river, you're going to find a lot of deer. And Bill and those guys, I mean, they've got a great piece of property. I think Jeff Foxworthy's got a place right next to theirs, and they've got a great management plan and a lot of land to manage. So, you know, they do the homework with the food plots and feeding and stuff like that to grow some big deer. And that just goes to show you, I mean, you can't make a deer that doesn't have the genetics be a 170, but, you know, give them some food and some time, and they'll be the best they can. And around here, I mean, that might be a 130 or it might be a 160. You never know.
No, I agree with you. And I think, you know, in my book, I don't care if I shoot a 5-year-old and he's 130. You know, he's a 5-year-old. You know, that's still killing a beast of a deer. So, you know, whether that's here in my home state of Michigan or I did that in Georgia, I'd be, you know, tickled to do that anywhere. You know, it's a great deer.
Yeah, I mean, in this past season, I mean, I was blessed to hunt a lot of great places and fill a lot of tags. And, you know, I go to Kansas, and I'm thinking of the giants that are in Kansas, but I ended up shooting a 300-pound 7-point with my bow, which was just a huge brute of a deer and not much of a rack, but, you know, big mature buck. And then I go to Texas on the other spectrum of that, in the hill country, you know, I shoot a 150-pound 5-year-old 8-point that, you know, might score 100, 110 inches, but it's all relevant to where you're hunting and just having fun, enjoying it. And if your goal is to shoot mature deer, then be patient. And if your goal is to fill the freezer, I mean, have fun doing it.
No, exactly. I agree with you. And in some areas, like you said, like the hill country, I mean, you shoot, in my opinion, what I like to do is shoot the oldest deer, you know, that you can possibly shoot. And if that genetic is a 150-pound deer and 110 inches, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a trophy for that area, and that's the way people should look at it, in my opinion.
Exactly. And, you know, and I don't want to get on too far of a tangent, but, you know, it's all about having realistic expectations, and TV is to blame for a lot of it, because you see all these big deer that get, you know, shot every year. And that's good. I mean, that's part of it. But at the end of the day, you can't kill a 170-inch deer if there's not one there to kill. So I think for the most part, everybody just needs to enjoy being out there and analyze and accept what their realistic goals for their property should be. And that doesn't matter what states you hunt in.
No, you got that right. Exactly. So what do you, to get back to the other question I asked, we kind of got away from it, ML, what do you basically do in Alabama? What's your non-resident tag cover there?
In Alabama, you can shoot 3 bucks per season, and you can shoot a doe per day, but you can't shoot a buck and a doe in one day. So they've got a pretty liberal bag limit, I'd say.
That's a lot of deer. That's pretty cool. That is.
And it used to be a buck or a doe per day the whole season, but they did away with the buck rule.
Wow. That's still interesting though, and pretty much you can go hunt every day, which is awesome.
Right, exactly.
So I know you guys are basically turkey hunting right now. What do you guys got planned this year, Michael, for Backwoods Life? And are you guys that far? I know, like I am. I'm sure you are for a couple of states, but what do you got going on this fall? Have you guys planned all your deer hunts out already?
Yeah, we've been working on some of that actually this week. We've got a lot of turkey hunting left to do. We're gonna go out to Texas and Kansas. Gonna hunt around here. Got one trip down to Florida, and then I may even sneak up to New Hampshire for turkey. Never done that before. A buddy might invited me, so we'll see what that's about. But as far as deer goes, we're gonna hit Kansas, Ohio. We'll be here in Georgia. We're actually looking at seeing if we can get our tags for Arizona elk. We're going to try that this year, which would be a new experience for us, and hopefully that'll work out. So we're just kind of getting things going. We got Illinois on the books for whitetail. I think I'm trying to see if I can get an Iowa tag this year. So we're going to try to hit some of the bigger states for bigger deer and also hunt here too,
Yeah, exactly. Have you been planning to Arizona? Have you put in for points, or how'd that come about?
A buddy of ours out there has a booking service that he does, and of course he's got some friends with some great land out there, and he kind of told us here, this is how you need to put in to draw archery tag, and we're just waiting to hear.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. I've talked about it a few times on my podcast, had a few guests on about, the whole lot west thing, and it's just so crazy. I guess us between probably the Midwest and the South, we probably take it for granted that we could just over the counter go get our tags so often.
Yeah, there's so many states that you can just go buy a tag, and especially for whitetails, that's easy, that's fun. You can plan a last minute trip, and it kind of works out better that way, in my opinion. I don't like having to sit here and apply for 3 or 4 states and wait to see how those turn out before I can decide, what else I want to do or can or can't do based on that. But I was just kind of part of it, especially if you want to hunt some of those better states and what a lot of people consider, dream tags to get those elk and mule deer and whitetail in different parts of the country.
No, I'm with you on that. It's always just I guess the easiest term is it's a thought process to do all that. And, we're planning Iowa next year. And, we're at that point where we're going to draw, 90%, we're going to draw an archery tag. But you know how it goes, Michael. You still don't know. And that means now for 4 or 5 months I'm going to be tied up, hopefully draw an Iowa tag, and if I don't, guess what happens? Then you're kind of in that, that gap where you're trying to struggle to find a space to go for the next, that 10 days you had set aside to, for Iowa.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, this is a crazy time of the year. We're trying to plan out schedules, and there's a lot of moving pieces to the puzzle, but my calendar looks crazy right now. But at the end of the day, we're going to make it all work. We're going to find those spots to hunt, and if we don't get a tag here or there, we can fill in with, another state that we maybe can get over to counter tag and make it happen. Yeah,
absolutely. I know before I forget and we get off, Michael, I want you to share with everybody, where we can find you guys at Backwoods Life TV and website, Facebook, all that stuff, and about your show and, what days it airs, where does it air, if you would.
Yeah, man. This will be our 12th year on the air, coming in July or late June, early July of 2016. We're on Sportsman Channel here in the United States and Wild TV in Canada. So check us out there when the time gets closer. But you can go to backwoodslife.com. You can see more about us. We're putting different articles and videos and all kind of stuff on our website right now for everybody to get fired up about turkey season. And then we're going to transition over into the deer hunting stuff. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You name it, we're probably on there on the social side of things. So we're always trying to keep content out those places for everybody to keep up with what we're doing.
I know I will totally give you guys kudos on that. Michael, you work harder than anybody I know in the industry on the social media side. So definitely not hard to find you guys on any of those outlets you just mentioned.
Yeah, you can pretty much go in your web browser and do a search for Backwoods Life. You'll find us somewhere.
That's right. Well, Michael, thanks so much, man, for your time today. I thought it'd be cool to kind of talk about, maybe sucking a couple of these Midwest guys down in the South and getting to experience some of that, great deer hunting you guys get to do. I know that, like we said and we covered in the show, a lot of great deer, easy to get tags, and a lot of deer. So why would you not, at least once in your life, go visit one of those states and enjoy, some Southern hospitality and good food?
There you go. Come on down. We're more than happy to have anybody that wants to come.
Absolutely. Well, ML, I hope we get to do this again someday. And boys and girls, as you know, if you are downloading KKM Outdoors on any of the mobile devices, especially iTunes, make sure you leave us a 5-star review and some comments. It helps get the show out to others. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday. And Michael Lee, thanks so much again for your time today.
Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate it, bud.